Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy wrapped up talks with U.S. Vice President Vance a short time ago. On the agenda, ending Russia's nearly 3-year-old war on Ukraine.
Fundamentally, the goal is, as President Trump outlined it, we want the war to come to a close. We want the killing to stop, but we want to achieve a durable, lasting peace, not the kind of peace that's going to have Eastern Europe in conflict just a couple years down the road.
Good conversation today, our first meeting, not last, I'm sure, and really what we need to speak more, to work more, and to prepare the plan how to stop Putin and finish the war. We want peace.
I'm going to say for now, because I want to.
Earlier this week, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke by phone with both Zelenskyy and Vladimir Putin. He wants to open negotiations to end the war. But today, Zelenskyy said he won't meet with Putin until Ukraine has agreed to a peace plan with Trump and European leaders. Abby Kuilassen is in Berlin tracking developments at the conference. She joins me live. So, Abby, do we have any details yet from that meeting between Vance and Zelenskyy?
We have a few details given that meeting just happened a few moments ago. President Zelenskyy saying that he had a good conversation with the new U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, but he highlighted that more work needs to be done on a peace plan, a durable peace plan, which is exactly what Ukraine wants. He's been stressing the need also, Andrew, for U.S.-backed security guarantees before any sort of ceasefire is discussed, or that this is a part of the conversation, because what Ukraine wants is to ensure that there is a framework in place to ensure that one day Vladimir Putin doesn't regroup and attack their country again. Now, European leaders, officials, not only here today on the first day of the Munich Security Conference, but for weeks and months, have been saying that any kind of peace, when it comes, needs to be reliable, it needs to be long-lasting, and it needs to be durable, because they now fear, given some of the comments that they've heard from the Trump administration, that potentially the United States will be willing to make deep concessions on Ukraine's behalf just to get a peace deal done. That is not what they want to see. So some recent U.S. comments that have raised those fears, comments around Ukraine not regaining all of its territory back, comments that NATO membership is unrealistic. So they look to J.D. Vance when he took to the main stage in Munich earlier today for some clarity, for some specifics. They didn't necessarily get it. He did say that a reasonable settlement is possible between Kyiv and Ukraine, but again, he didn't provide specifics. Here is a little bit of what he did have to say, though.
In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree. Because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger.
Do you agree with that? They have repeatedly said that they've done more and that they will continue to do more. But the rest of his speech is not going over very well. Andrew, he focused very heavily on threats to what he called freedom of speech in Europe. And some of the comments from European officials after that speech include unacceptable. It's like he's trying to pick a fight with us, said another. And a Norwegian representative said it's a missed opportunity by the U.S. administration to address serious security concerns. So the speech not going over very well. They were hoping to hear more details from J.D. Vance in Munich. They didn't get those details. They got a lecture, some of them feel, and they're not too pleased about it, Andrew.
And Abby, given everything they've heard from Donald Trump and his senior officials, what concerns do European official leaders have right now?
There's one word that we've been hearing repeatedly here on the continent, and that is the fear of appeasement. Appeasement being the top word. Europeans fear that Trump will sort of appease Putin, that he'll go along with him again just to get a deal done. Anything to say that a peace plan was done under his leadership. Now, I chatted with an analyst here in Berlin, Raphael Loss, and he sort of summed up how European officials are feeling, again, given some of these comments coming from the new U.S. administration. Let's have a listen.
The problem is that the U.S. administration seems to think that they can disregard Ukrainian and European interests to a large extent. But significantly, we still depend on the United States in some areas. And so a productive conversation should address those. But the worst case scenario is that the Trump administration sells Ukraine down the river and Europeans follow in short time.
Now, over this weekend at the Munich Security Conference, we're going to hear of a history lesson that Europeans have learned very well, and that is the lesson from 1938, the 1938 Munich Agreement. Some call it the Munich Betrayal. It was signed just about a kilometer away from where this conference is being held, and that's when the Allies and Hitler struck a deal only to see Hitler the following year invade Poland and trigger World War II. Appeasement was not the answer then, and the EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas says appeasement is not the answer now. They know how this story goes if they capitulate to Putin just to get a deal done. This is not what Europeans want to see. This is not what Ukraine wants to see. But again, Andrew, we don't have specifics from the Trump administration when they say they're ready to negotiate and iron out a peace plan. Again, Ukraine wants to be at the table. They want the Europeans at the table. And as you said off the top, they want to make sure that a common position is established among the United States, the EU, and Ukraine before they even think about sitting down with the Kremlin.
Abby Kurdasen in Berlin.